Last week on the Al Nicoletti Show. Let's welcome him to the Al Nicoletti Show. Aaron Bevins. Aaron, the man, what is good?
There's more money floating around right now than ever before in human history, and the only thing between you and that money is the action that you're taking. If you're supposed to get rich, you're gonna get rich right now. People fail in business not because of a lack of resources. They fail in business because of a lack of resourcefulness. What doesn't get tracked doesn't get measured, right? And you cannot grow what you can't measure. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. If you don't have numbers and you're not running your business off of numbers, what are we running our business off of? If you build your business on lies, then you can't build a business. Don't end your day until you've cashed out.
This is the kind of stuff people really need to hear.
Finance, the way we define it, is having a predictable process for what happens with your money. Sales minus profit equals expenses. The biggest difference between successful and unsuccessful people is emotional resilience.
When you have that drive that you don't stop and you create that obsession, you could do anything that you want. You can put your mind to it, but are you willing to put that conviction in your mind to make that decision?
You are not strong enough to run a business. Business is too hard for you to run it successfully without being obsessed and being emotionally driven. Your success is not contingent on anything externally. Your success, my success, is contingent on the internal work that we do.
Thanks a lot, man. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure, dude. Until next time.
For more content on tonight's episode, make sure you check out the Al Nicoletti YouTube channel under Al Nicoletti, the Facebook personal page, and the business page under Al Nicoletti. And you can find all the micro content that drops from the Al Nicoletti Show on Instagram at Attorney Nicoletti. And you can find the Al Nicoletti Show on Spotify, iTunes, and Google Play. Don't miss it. All the guests that we've had from season 1, season 2, season 3, and now rolling out season 4. So you don't want to miss it. I can't wait to introduce the guest tonight. She's amazing. It's going to be one that is so different than we've had on previous episodes. And it's going to be so unique and very fitting to the way the season's moving, and really talk about not just the real estate side, but even thinking through things that we work through in our business. And that's going to play a role in what we do and how we are moving through the business. So I'm so excited. I got my pen ready. I got my pad ready. I think that's been really helpful for people to remind everybody, take notes. You want to keep these notes, you want to log them, and you want to review them later, because those are the things that are going to help you. When you're taking these notes, you're thinking, these are the topics that are going to help me apply this to my business. So don't forget to do that. And we love the audience engagement. So feel free, drop a comment. We love to know who's here. So I'm so excited. I'm sure you all can tell. So let's rock this thing. Hey everybody, my name is Al Nicoletti. I'm an attorney here in Florida, and welcome to the Al Nicoletti Show, where I bring on real estate super investors, rising rock stars, movers and shakers, and leaders of clubs in their community that educate, entertain, and inspire all things on Florida real estate, and bringing on the best of the best all over the country, wherever they are, maybe even international, bringing on the people that understand everything in this world of real estate, and even on the business side of things with real estate, because it's so important that we just don't focus on all the things in real estate, but the things that we can do to apply it to our business in real estate, or even businesses beyond. And I think that is the function of bringing on amazing guests on the show on how you can take your company to the next level. On my show today, I have a power boss. She is amazing when it comes to speaking, communicating, delivering, and really talking about productivity. And her name is Michelle Welch. What a story, I gotta say, about seeing Michelle. We didn't even get to meet. I got to see her present at the Hive Mind conference back in August of 2022. And what was so interesting about Michelle is, a lot of the events, they'll put out who the speakers are. And after a while, you see some of the same speakers and they're talking about their topics. But once in a while, you'll see a speaker you've never heard of, you haven't seen before. And then you see the topic that they're talking about. So I remember I saw Michelle's name. I saw what she was talking about. I thought, okay, this is going to be maybe like a thing on mindset or something to do with how we can better ourselves in our business. And I saw she was going to be talking about productivity. So I said, I got to see who Michelle is, what she's going to talk about. When she took the stage, she commanded the entire audience's attention. And what was so unique about her topic of productivity and the things that came with it were it was just so applicable to our business. I even felt that there were things she talked about. I felt like she was speaking to me about things on how we can better ourselves, how I can better myself in our daily task in what I'm doing with my team personally. And I think having a Michelle Welch on the Al Nicoletti Show is something that's going to help everybody at the start of the year, which is why we have her on for episode 2 of season 4. So I'm so excited to introduce her. She's amazing. Let's welcome her to the show, Michelle Welch. Michelle, so good to see you.
It is so good to see you too. You
I
are so
love it.
kind. Thank you. I'm in the back blushing. I'm like, oh my gosh. That was a powerhouse intro. I don't even know how to follow that up with. So
You know, I say you're so deserving of it because again, it's rare to find that speaker that knows how to deliver on this interesting topic, and it's something we all need. It's something that the audience that watches my show needs. It's something that people that'll find this later on YouTube that want to understand how to better their productivity, whether it's real estate or not, it's in that business sense, will help them. So let's dive into this. Who is Michelle? How did you get started into this world of productivity? Because I know you have a wild story.
yes. So long story short, I started in entrepreneurship and business ownership 6 years ago. I had a 6-week-old baby and a 5-year-old son, and I started my first cleaning business. I wanted to get into an industry that was low cost at entry, something that was quick, but something that I knew how to do correctly. So I started my cleaning business. Right after I had my son, I had him in April. I started my cleaning business in May. By July, I got my first commercial contract. By July 10th, I quit my job and I've never worked for anybody else since. In my first 90 days of operation with Queen Cleaning Concepts, I made $17,000. And I realized at that point, and I'm a second generation entrepreneur. My parents own cleaning businesses and daycare. So I did already have a little bit of that, a lot of it of that formation of business and ownership and everything. So I really just took a skill that I knew and I amplified it. Now, as time grew through the years, I had, I'm very transparent about my story. I'm a single mom. I had a lot of things bet against me. I've gone through a lot of things in business with business partners, with businesses I've decided to get into because I have a very headstrong personality of like, if I want something, I'm going to work for it. I'm going to get it. And nothing is off limits to me. So, I've been in a lot of different industries and what I kind of coupled from all that was a lot of experience. And I speak very well, and the way that I connect with people is on a very transparent level. So people started coming to me for coaching. And so I went and got my life coaching certification because that's at first, where the ground level of everything came in. But then I also realized like I'm very, very well versed in business. I mean, I've opened multiple businesses. For the last 10 years, I've assisted women in opening businesses across the nation. I mean, as far as Nigeria to Australia. So I have a knack for that. That is what my creative talent is. And I just realized that there was a need for me. There was a need for somebody that wasn't just trying to be a business coach or a life coach or label themselves as anything, but somebody that was generally trying to help people succeed in the best way possible. And that coupled with business development, because that is just my area of genius, it just took it to the next level. When the pandemic happened in 2020, I got really big on Twitter. And I started to see a trend that so many people were struggling with the teaching their children and having to do the virtual school, having to figure out, with the panic and the government shutdowns, how are we going to make money? What are we going to do? So that's when I got my hands deep into productivity and creating digital products because I was like, people need a way to reconnect. They need a way to understand their time. We hear the cliche phrases like, I'm booked and busy, but we don't realize how much chaos is surrounding that. And what we speak is what happens. So we're essentially taking a cute Instagram phrase and we're labeling it over our lives, not understanding the energy that we're welcoming in. So when I really dug deep into productivity, it allowed me to see myself as a better mother, because I was then able to not say, you know what, I don't have time to be with the kids because I got to work, work, work. Now it's like, well, you're my why. So now I have to make sure in my schedule, I set time apart to be with the one reason why I'm here, why this all started. So it makes you make more informed decisions. It allows you to grow in a space of like, listen, I want to be a better human. You have to have healthy habits and healthy routines for you to be able to coexist in a space of productivity. A negative mindset and a positive mindset can't coexist in the same space. And chaos and clarity cannot either. So when you think about productivity, it's the universal language that we all need to speak. It is a skill. So it's not something that we can say, oh, I'm going to be productive in time block today. It's I'm going to do it every day. And I'm going to commit to it because it's going to commit me to make better financial decisions, to make better logical decisions, to avoid decision fatigue. How many of us operate businesses, have corporate jobs, our wives, husbands have children, and every day it's a decision? Well, productivity makes the decisions for you because everything is planned. You understand the priority, you understand delegation. So I kind of like took all of my experiences in business. I took all of the business acumen and the things that I've learned and the mentors that I've had. And I realized the one thing that is missing, we teach business credit, we teach how to form businesses, we teach everything. But one thing I don't see people teaching is how to actually be productive, how to make sure that you're not burning out, how to make sure that you're not experiencing exhaustion fatigue, decision fatigue. 30% of entrepreneurs go through anxiety and depression. How can we bring that number down? Productivity. And once again, productivity makes the decision for you. So when I started to move into the space of speaking and really wanting to connect with people, that was the one thing that just really, really worked. And I ran with it. And now I get to educate people in not just productivity generally for business, but in specific niches, real estate, beauty, the beauty industry with spray tanning and permanent makeup and stuff like that. So it's definitely a broad topic, but it applies to personal life, business life, and everything, in between.
Yeah. And I think what was so unique when you spoke is that you were speaking to the real estate investors, you were speaking to the real estate professionals on productivity because there's so much chaos. I mean, in real estate, you could work literally 24 hours a day.
Mhm.
Right? Like you could work all day on everything. But what do you miss? You miss your boundaries. You miss the things that matter in life with family and friends and taking time off for yourself. So while running a business, you need to do it to make money. You have to focus on other things, like you said, health, and focus on trying to delegate some things out so you're not working on those things, focusing
Yes.
on your strengths so you can get rid of the things that are the mundane tasks.
Mhm.
Talk to us about time. So when we were talking yesterday, the one thing that I think about anytime I hear productivity is timing. Like that's first and foremost in my head. And timing, is everything, right? It's your whole day in the morning, it's afternoon. Like, I could have consults all day, or people could have appointments all day, but your time is just so valuable. What are some things that you talk about on how to improve those aspects, whether it's time blocking, whether it's what you're doing in that time, whether it's breaks in between?
Mhm.
What's the Michelle Welch mind thinking about time?
So, like you said, Al, time is such a valuable thing. And when we start to understand that we don't really like we don't know what the length that we're actually going to be here, it's like we kind of take it for granted. So when I think about time, I think about, priority. It's always going to start with priority. What matters the most right now? Or if you're in business, what is going to be the one thing that brings in that revenue or things like that? So when you think about that, we get into an anxiety mode sometimes because it becomes very overwhelming. I have all this, I don't have enough time, but I have all these tasks to do. So when you actually sit down and monitor your schedule, which is where time blocking is such a great tool because it allows you to break your day down in specific blocks. So from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., I'm working on emails. I'm hitting up my admin. From 10 to 10:30, I'm taking a break. I'm going outside. I'm getting some fresh air. I'm staying hydrated because a big thing is we skip breakfast or we eat a very sugary breakfast and then we wonder why in the middle of the day we're burnt out. So it's like when you commit to valuing your time, you have to value yourself because you have to stay hydrated. You have to eat right. You have to drink a lot of water because in times that you're in serious focus, your mind starts to just go in other places. Oh, I'm hungry. Oh, I'm this, I'm that. No, drink some water. 9 times out of 10, you're probably just dehydrated because you're just sitting there and you're focused. That's just what happens. So it's like, then we can go into day theming. Day theming is something that works really well for me because I have my hands in a lot of different things. So then, Monday is going to always be my admin day. It's the day that I don't talk to anybody. I just handle everything that I need to do for all the businesses collectively. Tuesday is usually my content day. Wednesday is the day that I deal with all of my clients. Thursday usually is like out of office if I have to meet with clients on site. And then Friday is my overview day where I talk to all my admins. I make sure that we're all on the same page for us to go into a better week for the next week, see what our areas of opportunities are. So it's just like when you set yourself up like that, you're setting yourself up to know, okay, well, if my day is themed that way, I know by at least noon, all the tasks that I need to get through for that day theme will be done. So now I have this part of my day to schedule in time with hubby, to schedule in time to go get a massage, to schedule in time, to run to the store and get some new shoes that I need for a photo shoot, whatever that looks like. So it's like you have to be intentional. That's the biggest thing with time management is if you don't sit down to understand where your time is being wasted in the first place, how are you going to know and understand and comprehend how to put a schedule together? So typically what I tell people to do is for like 1 or 2 days, write down your entire day, write down everything you did, but do it like unintentionally. Because I don't want you to set yourself up to say, I'm going to set my day up and have like a perfect day when you know that, 4 out of the 7 days, you're just kind of with vibes and just chilling and doing whatever you need to do. So when you can actually see where those dips are, you also get to see where your focus points are. It's really important to understand. It's called your cathartic rhythm. It's when your heart and everything is pumping and it's ready to go for you to get some really good productive work done. If you don't know what your peak hours of performance are, then you need to monitor your schedule so you can see when you feel the best. And at those points, that is when you schedule your high priority task because your clarity is at optimal level. Not only that, the quality of work that you're going to put out is going to be pristine. So we want to make sure that we're understanding what are our low points, what are our high points. And if you are someone like me, I have multiple high points. There's sometimes I'll wake up at 3 a.m. and I'm like, oh no, I got to work. And sometimes that's just, it's your body waking you up like, listen, oh, there's an idea. Oh, there's something we got to get done. And I'm the type of girl, I'm a hustler at heart. So I'm like, let's go. I got some focus. I got some energy. I'm going to ride the wave. And you just have to respect your body's boundaries. At the end of the day, nothing works unless you work. And doing this for 6 years out, I was in the cleaning industry, very labor based. I was that girl that was like, I don't care if I have the flu. I don't care. I am working. I'm hustling it out. And, being a single mother for me, it's like, I got to eat and we all got to eat. That's how it works. So I had to shift my mindset. And productivity is a mindset shift because I've said it before. Procrastination and productivity cannot exist in the same space. You have to change your habits, you have to change your routines, and you have to take accountability. The first steps to anything is holding yourself accountable. I know I have a problem with time management. I know I had a bad problem with time management, which is why I got so invested in it and realized I'm not the only person, like at all, by
Mm.
all means. So it was for me like, listen, these are the things that work. Time blocking and day theming are the generalized first steps into doing it. You want to throw a brain dump in there to make it easier for you to get all your tasks in one area and then see what the priority of those tasks are. Then you can delegate and you can see what you don't want to do. So then you can set yourself up and say, listen, if for example, in my business, if I don't want to do social media, I know that I need to make a certain amount of money now so I can cover a social media person. So now I need to go to the drawing board and look at my financial skeleton and say, listen, I need to bring on 2 more clients to afford this to take it off my plate. Once again, productivity allows you to have that clear mental capacity to not just start dishing money out. No, we have to make sound decisions. So I'm always going to say choose the productivity, choose the best methods for you, because ultimately productivity is a skill. You have to work at it every day. And you can do something called the 2-day rule. You do not go more than 2 consecutive days without following your schedule, following your task list, because once you're after day 2, you're kind of just like, well, it's already past the time. I don't really care.
Mhm.
That's where accountability and discipline comes in.
Yeah, you see, so for everybody watching, do you see what I'm saying? I feel like when Michelle's talking, I feel like she's talking to like me. She's probably you feel like she's talking to you, like and it's like a lot of the audience are people in real estate, and a lot could be watching when they find the show, but like a lot of us are entrepreneurs.
Mhm.
It's very easy for entrepreneurs to get lost in the chaos and be so enamored by all the opportunities that we forget about a lot of these things, that like things like delegation that you talked about, and then we'll talk about staying on track, but keeping a schedule and really knowing your high points, knowing the lower points, knowing when to ride the wave when your energy's at a high point. So it's crazy you talk about this, Michelle, and why I can relate to what you do is because last year, back in I want to say March, I was 1 year into my law firm practice, and I had one assistant, and I took on another assistant that I was training, and at the time, I was still doing pretty much everything. I was e-filing, I was docu-signing, I was getting everything out. And I had the assistants do some things, but it was kind of like I felt like I had to control what was going
Yeah.
on, to the point where I started realizing I was staying up until 4 in the morning, 3 in the morning. And then I was waking up at 7. No plan. No plan at 7 a.m. except just to keep going. And the cycle would keep going. And I remember at one point in April, I just was spinning around. I'm spinning around. And so there was no plan. And at that point in April, I remember saying, stop. We got to reorganize everything. And that's when I got with my team and I said, you're handling this. I'm going to handle this. We're going to have a schedule. There's no more past 11 o'clock. There's no more past 10 o'clock. Everybody's on a schedule, and we're going to figure out how to do these things. And what that did was that forced the team to learn things they didn't before. And it was rough in the beginning. I tell you that. It's rough. It's rough as an entrepreneur to let go of the control. But what that did was put myself back on track,
Yeah.
right? No longer 4 or 5 in the morning. And then it put the assistants back on track. But now we started knowing what to delegate. So when you talk about the timing and the habits, and reviewing things weekly, or reviewing what was a waste of time, I totally relate to that. And I
Yeah.
know a lot of people relate to that once they start hiring, which is why you hire assistants and you
Mhm.
hire VAs to take the tasks off you.
Yeah.
So, talk to us about keeping track of the data. I think that's really big, like staying on track, but like tracking what was a waste of time, or what
Yeah.
did you spend your time on, because even for teams that have I mean, you have some big wholesaling teams here, you have huge brokerages that are watching, that they have weekly meetings. But like what should go on when the team's talking? What should be the high level conversation that's happening when you're wanting to keep things on track, and keep analytics, and keep data, and really write things down? Like, talk to us about that.
Okay. So anytime, because I do productivity with corporations as well. So anytime that we go into meetings where it's about KPIs, metrics, what the productivity output, input, and all that stuff is I'm very, very big on note taking. The way that you track data is documenting the process. No matter how minimal or how exponential it is, the process has to be documented. So every meeting that you go into, someone needs to be specifically delegated to take meeting minute notes and as detailed as possible. Secondary is I always open up all meetings with gratitude. What are we grateful for? Because first of all, we have to be here and we need to be here for a reason, right? So then we go into what is the win of the week and what is the gem of the week? What was that win and what did you learn? Or what was something that happened that allowed you to shift your perspective on something? Then we go into what the goals are. So when you have this person taking the meeting minutes, number one, we're building rapport with our teams because we want to make sure people understand, that we are all humans and we have emotions and we want to connect. Number two, we want to make sure that we are all on the same page as far as what our goals are for each team or whatever we're doing, because the way we track metrics is not only through meeting minutes, but how are we accomplishing these goals? How are we seeing the milestones? So we create goals. We create monthly goals, we create weekly goals, and we create daily goals. So as we go through the day and we hit those goals, we hit the stripe off the list. That's the way we analytically see, are we, going day by day and doing what we need to do. So it's the same thing, the same concept for weekly goals, for personal goals. And when you are in a team setting, the accountability is set at a higher level. Nobody wants to come into a meeting that hasn't met their goals when everybody else around them is succeeding. So it allows you to have that extra layer of accountability. So I'm very big on meeting minutes. I'm very big on communication. I talk to my team daily throughout the day. There is never any way to over communicate, because what is the one problem that everybody has in the world
They don't
aside from
communicate.
time? People don't know how to talk to people. They don't know how to just, you know, I don't know if people are just scared of result. I don't know what it is. And I can't even, I don't talk bad about it because I used to be in that space, but I had to learn more business acumen. I had to put myself in more uncomfortable situations. I had to learn how to speak better, go to Toastmasters, go to these landmark, go to different things that are going to allow you to not only elaborate on your vocabulary, but articulation and all of those other things. Like, it's an investment. So you have to understand that when you're in these team settings, or even for yourself when you're trying to see what habits you've let go of, there's things called habit trackers. Get a journal, write these things down. I don't think that there's a newer way to track analytics besides doing it on a spreadsheet on the computer. But the way that you track it is by what does your productivity look like? So if you're doing a brain dump every day or every week, making sure you have a specific folder that's just for brain dump. So you can see month by month, week by week, day by day, what does your thought process look like? I always say keep a daily journal, because from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, the other day I went on live and I literally read one excerpt from my journal from January, then one from December. Two different people, Al, like two
Mm.
different Michelles. My mindset shifted. The way I was talking shifted. I had a very negative mindset in the beginning of the year. At the end of the year, it was like rainbows and butterflies, and it is what it is, and we're going to push through. So it's like you're able to see your growth by your own documentation. And it's the same for teams. Just make sure you have that meeting minute notes person. Make sure you're talking about daily goals and milestones. Just make sure you're staying in constant communication. I'm also a big survey giver, because sometimes people don't like to always, talk about the things that are bothering them, or talk about the things that they're going through, or that they may be struggling with, even on a productivity level or a business level. So I always send out surveys to give people the opportunity to really understand or ask questions that they may not feel comfortable asking face to face or in a group setting. So
I think this is just so valuable for businesses. I mean, like there's so many things, and the way you say it too. It's like, there's books and stuff out there, but like I feel like you just deliver the stuff to us. Like you're like, here's the package.
there
Like
you go.
this is yeah, here's the secret sauce. Like there it is. And like when you talk about communication, so true. That is something in my law firm I have like really been trying to keep implementing. It's so easy to get lost in emails and texts. And I know how picking up the phone is like a novel concept now, right? But what things like that do is it just really gets down to the communication part,
Yeah.
hashing it out, finding out what's going on, because emails can just be so impersonal, but even having team meetings and talking about, okay, let's do case review, or let's talk about what happened last week. Let's the do's and the don'ts. And like you said, the wins and the gems. That was awesome. The wins and the gems. That's a big one. So, communication is everything in our business, and it's so
Yeah.
easy for teams to get lost in that. But even like you said with the brain dumping too, I'm glad you brought that up. I wrote it down. I didn't have it in the notes from yesterday, but the Hive Mind, they had posted, like, coincidentally, they posted a micro on your speech on brain dump.
Oh, yes.
And I was like, wow, the concept of there's a lot of thoughts and ideas, and just to keep logging this. But you're even taking it a step further with, like, almost analyzing your thought processes
Yes.
while you're brain dumping. That's super analytical right there, right? You're trying to see where your mindset is and shifting it, and seeing that grow, I think, is just so big. You know, why one thing that I think is also really important, and Dave Richter was on the show talking about habits in finances, right? And how you need to implement these strategies where you can save more money and keep more money by
Mhm.
implementing other strategies, getting other bank accounts, dumping money in. But on the personal side, on our in our daily lives, habits, creating those habits so that it becomes natural. Talk to us
Yeah.
about some of these habits that maybe you've seen with the real estate professionals, or maybe there's basic habits out there that people tend to get away from, and then you bring them back into focus about these are the things that you really got to hammer home with habits.
So one thing with real estate professionals is that 24-hour mentality that got like guns to the wall all the time. And I understand the hustle, believe me, I get it. But rest is a requirement, not a reward. So picking up bad habits of constantly working and being famished and unfocused and just not fueling yourselves correctly lead to burnout. And so I see that a lot in real estate because you feel like you're in debt to your client. You're feeling like if you are not at their beck and call, that something is, it's just like, I'm a big person on boundaries. With productivity comes boundary. And so when you have boundaries, you have boundaries with self. And with the burnout rate happening so quickly, and depression and anxiety and off, rip, it just causes such a ripple effect. So when you build healthy habits, every day I'm gonna wake up. My schedule is 5 a.m. I wake up, shower, meditate, pray. By 6:30, the boy to bed. I'm getting them breakfast. I don't even touch my phone. I don't even look at my emails because it is so intentional that I make sure that in the morning I'm pouring myself into my boys so that when they go to school, they're not stressed out. They feel loved, they feel well nourished, they feel balanced so that they can have a good day. We have to understand the energy we bring to other people. When the first thing you do when you wake up, you don't even know if you can walk yet, and you're checking your Instagram to see like who's DMing you. And it's like, listen, it's 5 in the morning. I promise you're not missing out on anything. And it's just, as even real estate, anything, we go crazy on wanting to, do the most for people. But what we fail to realize is that with our policies and procedures from the beginning, when you initially introduce yourself, set those boundaries from the beginning, because then you avoid people overstepping boundaries. People overstep because you let them. And so the way on our personal life that you can contribute better habits and routines is, let's say for example you want to go to the gym, you want to lose weight, you want to get your body right for summer, um, but you find it really hard to get out of bed and you find it really hard to just get out the door. So what you're going to do is you're going to set your bag up the night before, you're going to set all your gym stuff up the night before, you're going to take it back to fifth grade when you were excited the day before, set everything up, get your protein shake ready, your protein bar, your work clothes are set up so when you come home, you're good, you shower. And the hardest part is just getting out of bed now. The keys are by the front door. The protein shake is on the counter. There's literally no, oh, I don't have clean gym clothes. Yes, you do. They're in your bag. Your shoes are at the door with a fresh pair of socks. Get out of bed right now. So then it doesn't even become an excuse anymore. Now it's just you're lazy and you have no discipline. So now there's a bigger problem. So it's like we have to learn how to hold ourselves accountable and understand what type of sacrifice has to be made, because once again, these are skills, these are skill sets. Obviously if it was meant for all of us to do this, we wouldn't be having conversations about productivity. It
Right.
is a skill you have to learn, apply. It takes 21 days, and if you can't even make it through 21 days, you're not going to be able to have a lifetime of productively producing profits of anything, because you're constantly going to be stifled by procrastination, stifled by being unclear, anxiety. You know, a lot of the anxiety we give is ourselves because we don't have clarity on where we're going next. We just kind of vibe it out. We don't have lists. So it's just so important to just develop these healthy habits because number one, you create these healthy habits to get on a routine. When you're on a routine, let's say, for example, I know from 10 to 12, I'm supposed to be on a call dealing with my admins, but I got to go pick up baby Trey from school because he's having a stomach bug. I know that if I get back at 11:05, I know exactly where my starting point of where I'm supposed to pick back up again. And I know that because now my habits led to routines, which led me to create an awesome schedule. So I always know at any given point in the day, what am I supposed to be doing? Did this take me like a day to do? No, this took me from 2020. We're in 2023. It took me 2 years and I'm learning so much every day, but it just took one step. And I mean, I have a nonprofit called the Single Parent Purpose. I do cleaning industry coaching. I own a cleaning business and I have for 6 years. I have my development agency. I'm a mom, I'm a daughter, I'm a sister. I do all these things because I have productivity in my life. So, someone's doing something right here, okay?
Yeah, no, you are, and you dropped a major gem talking about like it doesn't even take that long to implement these strategies too, right? Like people think, oh, this is going to take years, and like even just to make the minor changes, it takes maybe what 21 days, even to make these simple steps, just a short period of
Just
time to
start
commit to.
tomorrow.
Yeah, it's commitment, right?
Mhm.
So being able to make the changes now changes is going to change your mindset later and then that's starting to develop the habits. And the habit comes naturally because now you're starting to implement that stuff. And then you feel better. Right? You
Yeah,
feel better, you're
feel so
looking
good.
better. It's everything. So I think that is really big. And boundaries. Boundaries is
Ugh,
huge too, right? So, you know, that's come up in my practice with somebody wants to have the meeting right away or a response right away, and I think what you got to do is really start setting the tone right up front.
yeah.
Otherwise, everybody will have an expectation of responses immediately, right? So talk to us a little bit more about how can investors, how can real estate professionals, even agents that get calls at like 11 o'clock at night, 12 o'clock at night, or other professionals that are in any industry really setting boundaries. What are some of those things you can do to really help the setting of boundaries?
So the biggest thing with setting boundaries, y'all are gonna love this one, right? Know when to know. KNOW, when to NO. You always have to know when to know because if you don't know when to say no, you're gonna say a lot of yeses and they're gonna take up all of your boundary points. You get little points for boundaries and it's all gonna be out the window. So with boundaries, there comes policies and procedures. I tell everybody, all of my clients, you better set boundaries and procedures. I'm sorry, you better set policies and procedures for your clients, for your parents, for your children, for yourself, for everybody. Because if you don't set boundaries for your kids, what happens, when you have company come over and they want to be playing all on you, and it's like, no, you got to understand where there's a time pit space. When you have a partner, listen, everything is not always rainbows and butterflies. We got to set boundaries to know when you need to get out of my face and stay out of my face. So then you get with your parents, my parents were entrepreneurs and business owners, but for some odd reason, they don't think that I work. And so they call me all day. So it's setting those kind of boundaries and setting those policies and procedures. Don't call me from 9 to 5. Send me a voice memo. If something is wrong, call 911. It's not my problem right now. I can't handle it. And I tell people that and they laugh. And I'm like, but you got to understand, if I don't do this, this phone will not stop ringing and then I can't work at all. And now everybody just wants my time. And now everybody has access to me. And now nothing is getting done. So, from the beginning of any relationship, any business partnership, anything, I like to have a little conversation. And I don't think this is wrong by any means because at the end of the day, people only know what we tell them. We expect people to have this unprecedented respect for us when we don't, at bare minimum, respect is a bare minimum. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to communication, when it comes to boundaries, when it comes to relationship expectations, you set that tone. So if you have clients calling you at 11 o'clock at night, it's because you made it okay for them to do that. So from the beginning, How you start is how you finish with everything. So it's the same thing with a relationship. If you are expecting a certain thing in the beginning of a relationship and they're giving it to you, give it to you, and then they stop, you're like, wait, you don't like me anymore. You don't want to be with me. When, you just didn't relay that I expect this consistently all the time. And it's just such a gray area. So we want to make sure we paint it very black and white. So what you want to do is you want to look at what policies and procedures mean to you. What does it mean to have a thorough work day? Does that mean that from 9 to 5, nobody should be calling you? You shouldn't be scheduling anything from 10 to 12. What does that look like for you? You have to really understand, like, what are your non-negotiables? What do you not want clients or family members or your kids to do when it comes to you? What are the things that you don't mind budging on? And then what are the things that are okay? That's how we start establishing boundaries, because you have to know what you don't want to deal with to understand what you are going to deal with. And then from there, you just start implementation. If you don't want people calling you past 5 o'clock, guess what? That phone does not get answered unless it's literally a you are about to go to the closing table and get that check, whatever. Okay. But when it comes down to business as usual, you need to operate everything business as usual. I don't care who you are. If it's not on my schedule, we're not talking. And I like it your emergency must have not have been that big, because if it was an emergency now, you should hit me up 2 weeks ago before it got to this point to where you're demanding my time. And I think sometimes we don't want to get a bad rep for pushing people to the side, or, oh, I'm not a ideal client, or I'm not that. No, I have policies and procedures. I don't care if you're Michael Jordan, or, I mean, unless you're Oprah, you really, it goes the same for everybody. Because at the end of the day, if you can't respect yourself enough to implement the very same policies and procedures you've created to protect yourself, then you really don't love yourself, and you don't have boundaries set with self. And then that's where it becomes a bigger problem, because now if you're not okay with you, nothing else is going to operate. You got to remember, you are like, this is your bubble. You are, what you put out is how you feel on the inside. So when your car is unorganized and your house has mail all over the place and things are just disheveled, that is an outward expression of how you're feeling on the inside, whether you want to believe it or not. So we have to make sure that we're setting certain boundaries so that the chaos doesn't come in and make us feel like we're overgiving, oversharing. Why am I doing all of this work and not feeling appreciated? Well, who told you to do that from the beginning? Who told you to do any of those things? We have to make sure we're taking accountability for where we lack on our own boundaries. Once again, I'm going to go back to, nobody should be calling you at 11 o'clock at night. That is just so ridiculous. And I think regardless of what industry you're in, I have a 24-hour cleaning service. And even the people that call for 24-hour service are still like, oh, I'm so sorry for calling so late. So I could imagine someone calling you asking about documents and land reviews and paperwork. And it's just like, excuse me. No. So from the beginning, I like to say, introduce them to a letter. If you are meeting with them in person, hey, I just want you to know that these are just our policies, just so that you have a really good understanding of how we're going to communicate. This is a great reference. So, emails are always going to be the best option. If you need to do a call, then please make sure you plan that call 48 hours ahead of time so that we can get you in and make sure it's a comfortable situation happening. Like, you have to make sure you communicate to people how you want people to respect your business, because if not, guess what happens? It's a free for all. Everybody gets to do whatever they want. And that's not how it flies over here.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't have said it any better, Michelle. I mean, everything you just dropped there, I felt everything, because even in my business, I mean, you talk about being productive on your schedule and putting people on the calendar. A lot of times it's very easy to just take the call on the go,
Yeah,
But
no.
like, if you don't start, hey, this one's at 12, this one's at 12:30, this one's at 1, no, this one's at 4, and getting the things on the calendar and making it more efficient that way, it's chaos. And like you were saying, if you have somebody that doesn't understand that, it has nothing to do with you. It has to do with the style, fitting your style, right? And a lot of people can work with a lot of people, but it's the ones that are willing to understand each other's side to things that
Yes.
make you productive, right? And those are the ones you work with, are the ones that understand, hey, we have policies and procedures before we do something. I had something today where they were right on the calendar, and now you want to talk about habits. The habit has been we always get the documents up front because then that way I can see what's going on, what's happening, if we're doing it
Yes.
or not. So on this one, I look in the folder, there's nothing. And so my immediate thought was, we don't have anything, we don't have everything. We got to move this down. We got to reschedule because I don't want to take 30 minutes and have a wasted call. I got to get ready for the show. I got to get ready for show notes. I got to do this. You could take that 30 minutes to do something else with it while you're in peak performance. So like everything makes so much sense, and even the emergencies, right? So funny you say that because somebody called the other day and it was like really, I don't know what was going on, but all I thought was I can't handle that. There's 911. There's like it's crazy when the expectations aren't set. And I think in our
Yeah.
industry there it goes to communication and expectations for people, and it's just
Yes.
it's something people have to focus on. You know, Michelle, another thing that, and maybe these kind of go hand in hand, burnout.
Oof.
So burnout can play a big role when you're constantly in your business. Obviously the chaos comes in, but burnout is really too when you don't even give yourself rest. You don't give yourself breaks. You don't give yourself the time off. People hear vacations. It's like, oh, giving yourself time off, but those are the
Mm.
cooling periods that you need, right? Talk to us about avoiding burnout and the things that you can do to help recharge yourself.
So, burnout is a topic I love to talk on. And I want to make sure we link the Fortune magazine article that I wrote because I talked about burnout so heavily in that as well, and resting through the day. But burnout is something that takes about 6 weeks for you to recover from. And a vacation is not going to help you from burnout. A burnout, you literally need to sleep. You need to rest. And my phrase is rest is a requirement, not a reward. When hustle culture decided to come out during the pandemic and people thought that the more you worked was equating to how good of a business owner and entrepreneur you were, was where burnout really, really started to happen. It's where you feel those emotions of depression and anxiety, and you may not even have that, but that's what it feels like. It feels like you're closing in. It feels like you despise your business and everything that has to do with it because it's always pulling from you, but you're not really getting what you need from it. It's like a bad partnership. It's like dating a bad person and you want to get a divorce from them. And so what happens is we put ourselves in position to stop eating correctly, to stop doing everything. You start to feel it in your face, you start to feel it in your body. So the way you avoid that is when you start to feel the onset of burnout, it's an overlaying of sadness. You no longer feel joy in doing the things that you once did in your business. It's more of like you start to lag to get to your meetings. You start to cancel things. You start to spend money frivolously. You start to just do different things that you don't even realize you're kind of like adding detriment to the business. You're pulling it down because that's how you feel. So the best ways to combat burnout is to constantly check in with yourself. I'm a very big person now. I'm very mindful of who Michelle is and what I'm doing. So when I start to feel that onset of, oh, I'm feeling anxiety from these tasks, I'm feeling like a little heavy right now, I go outside and I start to breathe. I'm like, all right, it's not that bad. I'll walk around. Vitamin D is your best friend. Fresh air is really your best friend. It is that simple. Going outside, taking a 10-15 minute walk. Also, making sure that you are scheduling you time. I'm not talking about getting your nails done, your hair done for my ladies or guys going to get a haircut. That is at minimum to make us look good. I'm talking about what do you like to do? Hobbies. I love to paint. I don't know how to paint, but sit me down with a glass of wine and a picture and some paint. I will paint my little heart out, and on the back I'll write how I was feeling so I can always revisit and see how does that correlate. And I'm just a very mindful person. So I just look at how that makes me feel. You have to connect with you and your inner child. You have to stay connected because when you give so much to your business and you're in those stages of growth and development and it's not giving what you want back, you tend to despise the process, the journey. Why am I going through this? Why do I feel this way? Well, because you don't sleep. You think drinking 18 cups of coffee a day is going to equate to you getting 4 extra hours of sleep, and that's not how it works. You're not eating correctly. You're not taking care of yourself. The last time you went to the doctor was probably 3 or 4 years ago. Like, you're not taking vitamins. It really burnout starts with taking care of your health and your mental health. The industries that we're in, Al, are like shark. they will come for you, okay? And do I think people should be in therapy? Yes. I At some points I see my therapist twice a week because we're dealing with other people's energies all day. We're dealing with other people's problems, and if you don't know how to departmentalize everything, decompartmentalize everything, you're going to get stuck. And when you get stuck, you start to give yourself anxiety. Then you start to burn out because you can't rest, you can't think straight. So it all starts with taking care of you, having, you time away from your kids, away from hubby, wife, whatever that looks like. Hobbies, find something that you like to do. If you like to go to the vineyards, if you like to paint, if you like to go to the movies, find something that's just going to take your attention, and set schedules for yourself with the business. You should not be working on your business from 5 a.m. to midnight. That's not, guys, your brain capacity is 4 to 6 hours, six at best, like at best, a day for you to get productive work done. So, all these 18-hour days that you're having, yeah, you may be shifting the paperwork over on the desk, but you're not really pushing the needle forward. All you're doing is draining and depleting yourself. So, just make sure that whatever you're working on, it's a priority. If you need a break, take one. And if you need to take a break, communicate that to your clients. I am almost 100% sure that if you tell your clients or the people that are around you, listen, this week I can't handle anyone's additional problems outside of whatever's on my plate. I am sure you will get much further with your clients and your people that love you when you're completely honest with them about what it is you need. Because at the end of the day, burnout comes from being depleted, from not feeling like you're being helped. Well, a lot of times we're not asking for help. So that is going to be one of the bigger tips. Ask for help. I'm not talking about delegation. I'm talking about, Al, I need help right now. I need someone to listen to me. I need, resources. I need this. I need that. The way that we can ask for anything else, we need to learn how to advocate for ourselves in our business and our personal life, because at the end of the day, this is what we look like to people. Nobody understands what's going on behind what we show. And until you decide to say, listen, I don't have to go through life by myself. And I'm not even speaking just on a mental health depression aspect. You do not have to go through life by yourself. You can have a tribe of people that you can lean on when you're feeling like you're burnt out, just to say, listen, you got this. I can encourage you. I can hold you accountable. I can go to the gym with you. I can call you every day and just love on you. I can just give you words of encouragement. You have to learn how to ask for what it is you need in the season that you're in so that you can get out of it. Because the last thing that you want is to be stuck in burnout for that 6 week period. Because after a certain amount of time, burnout turns into depression and anxiety, and it's a snow heap, and we don't want that to happen. So ask for help. Take care of your body. Go to the doctors. Take your vitamins. Find things that set your heart on fire that you love to do. Spend time with your loved ones, but ultimately rest, sleep 8 hours. Please, like, I beg y'all to please sleep.
I think there's so much that was going through my mind when you're talking, Michelle. I mean, I know for me, I know Mike's probably thinking it, like, there's the way that you say it is so fascinating. There's so much to be said about even all the breaks and the time off. Right. So I even saw that last year, how important it is to even take even a couple days off,
Yeah.
right? Because it's so easy to just keep going. So that time that you have off, you're able to review, recharge, think, reflect,
Yes.
and you have to reflect, because if you
That's a
don't
big
reflect, you're not applying the things
one.
that were good and bad. And then moving forward, you need to know what that was. So I think all of what you said when it comes to burnout is so critical for people. And I hope everybody paid attention to that, because that's
Yeah.
something that I'm watching again, because you can take so many gems from that. So, Michelle, I think all of this has been amazing. And at the end of the day, what is this all doing? And remember, you said it yesterday. It's making you a better person, a better
Yes.
better father, a better mother, a better brother, sister, a better business person, a better person in general, and being the best version of you. Right? Like, this is
Yeah.
this is what it's all doing.
Because it only allows for growth, and it only allows you to grow up. It doesn't allow you to go down. And so it allows you to take any mental health issues you have by storm. It allows you to take any personal life issues, because once again, productivity makes choices for you. So when you're in chaos, this is the one thing that's going to remove it, and it takes that veil off, and it allows us to become our 100% authentic best versions of ourselves. Because once again, procrastination and productivity can't coincide the same way a negative and a positive mindset can't, so it's like you have to make better choices. It just forces you into that, and that is why I'm so passionate about productivity.
I love it. It's about the choices you make. You're either going to make the choice that's going to better yourself, or you're just going to keep making the choice that you've been doing this whole time, and it doesn't even get better. It gets worse, actually.
Yeah, it gets way worse.
It's way worse. And I even loved how you said it too, that you're in tune with Michelle Welch. Like, Michelle, and you've probably learned about Michelle over the last 2-3 years
Yeah.
from what you've been doing. And that is so important to know what that is, what your inner workings are, your internal factors, and knowing and being observant to you is going to make you better, and investing in yourself. And the other thing I'm thinking about too is, a lot of people, like you said, they see this, but they don't know the story, right?
Yeah.
So it's very easy to just pass off, oh, they see this. But like, I'm at the Invest Tour in Tampa, and the stories that some of these people told, and you just see them in the audience and they come on stage and talk about it. The stories that some people told were incredible about
Yeah.
their pasts, what they've been through, what they've been able to overcome is wild. So hearing it from you, I love it. And I know everybody that's watching is loving this as well. So, Michelle, it's been a blast having
Yes.
you on my show. I mean, one day we're going to meet in person officially,
Oh, yes.
even though we were in August in Hive Mind, but we're going to meet. I can't wait to see you speak again on stage. And we're going to make sure people can reach out to you. So what's the best way people can connect with you?
It's always going to be my website. I am michellewelch.com, just because it has all of my socials, everything there. Majority of my platforms, except for Twitter, because they're not hip yet, is all I am Michelle Welch. You can find me everywhere at I am Michelle Welch. And in all honesty, also 407-554-5133, text productivity, and you'll be connected with me as well. So listen, there's ways to get in contact with me, okay?
There's ways, and you're going to figure it out, right? So, Michelle, thank you so much. And as I do with every guest on the Al Nicoletti Show, I have a segment called Final Words, Final Thoughts. And that's anything that maybe you haven't talked about, that's anything that you really want to hammer home or drive home and make that final point with the audience. So whether it's anything in productivity, whether it's anything with brain dump, healthy habits, delegation, any of the really big things that you talked about, what is final words, final thoughts, Michelle Welch?
If you can master your minutes, you can master millions. Always remember that you are in ultimate control of your time, your destiny, and the self-belief that you have to make all of these things happen for yourself. And that is coming from a single mother of two. I've grown six-figure businesses while being a single mom, while having my kids in the best schools, while being able to provide with my family and becoming the best version of me. Anything is possible. But always remember, if you can master your minutes, you can master millions.
Gold right there. Michelle, you're the best. Thank you again so much for coming
Thank you
on.
for having me.
Yes, you dropped so much value for people out there. And again, can't wait to see you speak on stage in front of the big audiences where you belong. You belong on the big stages for people to hear this stuff. So can't wait to connect soon. And I know
Yes.
I will be seeing you soon.
Thank you again. I appreciate it.
You got it. We'll see you soon. Wow. I don't know where to begin on that episode that you all just saw. So many things I took notes on, so many things going through my mind on each topic that Michelle talked about. And if you missed any of that, or you got in late, you jumped on late, you got to go back to the beginning on this episode with Michelle Welch. There's so much to be said about the concepts that she talked about that can apply to your real estate business, to your team that you work with, to you yourself, and how to better you, the team, your family, and just being being better as a person and figuring out the things that can help make you at high level performance levels, right? You want to be able to really keep yourself there and grow your businesses, grow yourself, and be able to make these things habits, right? She was talking about so many things with communication, habits, delegation. If you missed any of it, you got to go back and watch it. Absolutely loved it. And another episode in the books on the Al Nicoletti Show. I'm so happy for everybody that tuned in. One thing I wanted to mention that I didn't mention on the season premiere, I don't know if you noticed the shelves. We cleared off the shelves for season 4 for the guests that are going to come on the show that have stuff that we'll put on the shelf for the guests on season 4. So we're adding things to the collection. So I know I'm hoping Michelle has something. I am Michelle Welch. We'll have to do either a cutout or something and put it up on the shelf. But we'll make sure that as the guests keep coming on, the shelves will keep getting loaded. And again, it's a blast. I really appreciate everybody coming on. And if you missed any of it, it'll be on iTunes, Spotify, and on YouTube. So another night on the Al Nicoletti Show. I hope everybody enjoyed. I hope everybody took a lot of value from this. We will see you next week, Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, and we are going to have Brent Bowers, the land shark, come on the show. Can't wait for that. I'll see you all next week on the Al Nicoletti Show. Have a great night, everybody. Take care.